Welcome to Late Night with BS3, special edition. It's the third installment of Talking to Creatives is the topic for tonight's show. And I got two very talented filmmakers on the show. To my left, you can see on the graphic behind me, we got my man Zimbabwe Davies of Davies Films, and then we got Tyler Griffin of TG Films. You can see in the image to the right of me. Very talented. Going back to my roots, I grew up in the Bay Area, the Bay, and I wanted to get these two brothers on. I actually have content from them on BS3 TV on Roku. So you can definitely check out their content. We're going to get into it, talk about how they got into filmmaking, talk about what they're working on now, and talking about some future projects that they're working on. So very excited about this show. Let me go ahead and bring them on screen. We got Zimbabwe Davies in the building.
What's up with it, Ben? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Definitely doing good. And then we got Tyler Griffin in the building as well. Welcome.
What's going on? Thank you for having me on tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff. That's what's up.
we special out here in these streets.
Hey man, gotta do it up. Gotta do it up for y'all, man. All right, so a little bit of introduction. So the little bit of background. Me and Zimbabwe actually went to high school together at Emory High School. So we have a little bit of background. I've been following him and the content that he's been putting out, and I think he's really been able to, to show a glimpse of the Bay Area, but also other areas, and just how much he's grown. So Zimbabwe, give people an introduction and tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. My name is Zimbabwe Davies. I'm a film writer, producer, director, philanthropist, motivational speaker, life coach. I do it all. My story dates back to really, I have to take it back to my college days. I went to college for fashion merchandising and majored in, fashion merchandising. And like the premise of the work that we did was doing fashion shows, doing window displays. And I took a liking to creating fashion shows, being behind the scenes, picking the music, picking the models, creating the scenes, coming up with the themes. And so I'm a creative at heart, and gifted and just talented in being creative. And that compelled me into getting into film and storytelling. In addition to that, I'm a former foster youth. So I came up through the foster care system. And, I had a lot of challenges in my life, had low self-esteem. I was in special education, and I was always told, like, man, you're going to always be at the bottom of the totem pole. But I didn't realize, like, creativity was my niche until I went to college. And then from there, it was just like, I produced my first fashion show at 20 years old, the year after I got out of college, after I got out of Brooks College School of Fashion and Merchandising and Design. And from there, it was like I just got that bug to create. And I started doing more fashion shows, got on the radio and, in a newspaper. And from there was just my pen and pad was my outlet. And so that gives you a little bit about who I am.
Definitely. And I remember back in the high school days, man, the Fab, that whole crew with you guys that y'all had, man, y'all was always had on the dopest fits. Y'all was at the top of the top in the high school chain, in a group of friends. So, man, you had it. I mean, since I've known you, that creativity. So it's great to see where you are now.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Tyler.
Oh man. So yeah, my name's Tyler. I'm from Oakland. I'm a documentary filmmaker, editor, producer, also a podcast host, podcast producer, and podcast editor as well. A little bit about my journey. I got into film in around like 2018. I started a podcast called Break Bread, and so just in creating the podcast, I was able to learn about like how to produce a podcast, just like how to find different people to help bring the vision to life. So when I first started the podcast, I had an idea of just going to different Black-owned restaurants and just having different conversations about a variety of topics. And so I would use Instagram to like help me find like videographers to shoot. I would find different editors to help me edit it, and I would also reach out to the restaurant owners of the restaurants to see if they would allow me to film. So just creating the podcast and just producing it let me know like, okay, cool, I'm good at bringing my own visions to life, but I'm also really good at creating unscripted content. And so I didn't really want to do narrative film. Just got to think I was like a super strong writer when it comes to like actually like writing out films. And I'm like, I know I like truth. I know I like stories. And I'm like, I know I can make it all come together. So I found a few documentary master's programs, applied to a few, got into Chapman University in 2019, and pretty much learned everything that I know now within like the last 2 or 3 years from being in the program. And so from
Awesome.
there, I learned like how to set up a story, how to really engage and create content that moves the audience, and just how to produce, how to network, man, just how to do everything, how to edit, how to produce, how to see the vision all the way through, and just keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Tyler has a few documentaries. He has More Than a Cut, Grassroots Print, and the other one is Professor.
Oh,
What's the name of
Professor
the
Press,
other one? Yeah, yeah. So
Professor Press.
that's another one. And Zimbabwe has behind the scenes two a trailer and then the actual behind the scenes video that he has on the channel. So they both have content on there. Definitely check it out. And they continue to put out more content as well. So we're gonna continue to collaborate together and continue to work on getting their content out there and doing what I can to get their content out there. So I'll say this is an interactive show, so anybody that puts in a comment, definitely do that. We're live on multiple platforms right now. The BS3 TV channel on Roku, so you can definitely watch us live there. We're live also on YouTube, so make sure to like, subscribe, click that notification bell, be on top of all the content. And last but not least, we're live on Facebook. So all the avenues on Facebook, we're live on. And I'm going to be putting up throughout the show links so that you'll be able to see where to find more information about these two great gentlemen. So TG Films, you can see he has a link tree. And then Zimbabwe Davies, you can see zdaviesfilms.com as well. So did you guys always have a passion for films or for filmmaking? And I'll go to you, TG, first.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Man, I'm like a huge fan of films, especially Spike Lee's films.
Yeah.
My favorite film by him is He Got Game, and I'm just like super duper in love with like the final scene of Jesus and Jake playing like the basketball game. I don't know what it is, but that's like one of my favorite scenes of all time. And just from watching that, I was like, man, like I wanna create something like that like visually impacts the audience, but that also has like a really good message behind it. So yeah, I've definitely always been like a huge fan of films. I would say just watching Spike Lee films and just a variety of other films has really been like the underlying force for me, just working on the content that I'm creating.
Yeah, and Spike Lee is one of those, man. He's gonna tell you a story within a story, and there's
Yeah,
always hidden stuff.
yeah.
Crooklyn is one of me and my family and my
Oh,
sister's
that's a good
favorite
one.
movie, man.
Mine's
That's a good
too.
one.
Yeah, yeah, and we actually watched that and reviewed it recently on one of my other podcasts, and
Uh,
it was different watching it now compared to I was watching when I was a kid because you see more particulars. Obviously, you're older, so you see different dynamics. So yeah, Spike Lee is one of my favorite. I think one of my favorite is Malcolm X. Now, that's a my parents still have the VHS, the 3-tape VHS of Malcolm X, at their house. But that's another classic for me. But Zimbabwe, I'll take it to you.
Yeah, man, I've always been a fan of films. John Singleton, oh man,
Yeah,
Boys in the Hood is what did it for me. And the reason why Boys in the Hood is so special is because that was the first film where I could see the correlation between like LA and West Oakland. And Boys in the Hood didn't have colors like Crips and Bloods. I mean, they had little splashes. Um, it was like an inside thing you have to pay attention to. But the fact that, I can see a film where there's violence, but there's love. There's Ricky, he's playing football, he's trying to get out the hood.
right.
There's so many different themes in that spoke to me as a child at like 9 years old. And then also the fact that John Singleton always incorporated a piece of Oakland in his
mm,
films. He's from LA. And so like in Boys in the Hood, he had the score from Tony, Just Me and You. And then in Poetic Justice, he, had them drive from LA to Oakland. And, even in Snowfall, he's incorporated Oakland, and so I always loved that. His films is based heavily influenced by LA because that's where he's from, but he also incorporated Oakland a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Singleton is definitely one of those storytellers, and the Snowfall is a prime example. Baby Boy, which he did that one too, I believe. That's another good one that showed different dynamics. So let me give a couple shout outs. My man Overton Claiborne, he's actually in Vallejo, so he's right nearby you guys. My man Travelmatic, he has a great channel on YouTube, traveling around the world, and he works remote, and he's also giving you tips and tricks on how you can work remote and how you can make some really good money. So check out his channel. My man Lugal Sams, he says Poetic Justice filmed in the West. Definitely that's another classic one. If you're tuning in and you're in the Facebook group, please click a link. It'll be able to tell you so we can see who you are. But thank you for tuning in. He said, "What's up, BS3?" So, and I'm a I have a big passion for films too. Just since I was a kid, just watching, you name it. If it related to sports, because I'm a big sports guy, so obviously I was watching that. But even going to the other side of films that have really some of everything in it, that was really a passion for me and most of my friends. We all went to the movies Fridays most of the time. United Artists in Emeryville, if anybody knows where that is.
Oh
I'm pretty sure that's probably
man,
not even there.
it's not. That was a spot though, man.
Yeah. So those are always some good times. And yeah, anytime there's certain films that just kind of prick you, that you, like I was saying, kind of pre-show, that you learn something and that you glean something from. And both of you guys, I could say, in the things that I've watched from what you guys have put out, definitely learned something, and it was impactful. So when did you get into filmmaking, or when did you kind of know, like, okay, this is something I want to do? In Zimbabwe, I'll go to you first.
I'll say 2013, 2014. I seen some of a short film, and it was based on a foster care system. And I seen youth, and I seen the sadness in the storytelling. And I seen one of my friends who I knew who was a part of that story. And I'm like, this dude is a upbeat, positive dude. Like, why are they showing him in this light? And so I remember that frustrating me, and I was like, they're sharing this narrative, and it was for funding. That was the primary purpose, to get funding for whatever organization it was. I can't even remember. And so I told myself, like, I want to create a film that empowers foster youth, that tells of course, the struggles, but also shows the positive side. And so I was going with this theme, enter a challenger, exit a champion, for years when I was working with Alameda County Social Services, and I was a youth ambassador. And so I said, I'm going to use that title for my first documentary about my life in the foster care system. And so I started working with, you remember Dixon, Alan Kimar Dixon from Emory, our substitute teacher, our
Yeah.
So I called him one day because initially I was supposed to work with this young lady, and she was faking when she seen how serious I was. And so I called Dixon out of frustration. He lives in Atlanta. So I'm like, man, this girl faked on me. She said she wanted to shoot the movie and whoop, whoop, whoop. And he was like, oh, I've shot in a documentary before. Send me your treatment, which is, equivalent to a script, but it's in documentary format. And he said, I'll see what I could do. So once he seen it, he was like, I'm flying down from ATL. And so he would fly from ATL to Oakland, fly back and forth, and we would shoot, and went back to the origins of me growing up in West Oakland. And then, when I turned, me discussing when my mother passed away at the age of 13, and then me going into the foster care system, and the challenges that I had, and how I was just broken as a young man, and I didn't even want to learn in school. And that's what led me to going into special education. But it also shows the other spectrum of, organizations and people stepping into my life and encouraging me and giving me a second shot at life, giving me a second fresher breath air, and then things turning around, and then me going from, going through a program, graduating high school, going to college, getting into the entertainment industry, doing youth advocacy work, meeting celebrities, all kinds of just amazing things. And so I wanted to show both sides. Like, you do have challenges, but you can also be a champion on the other end.
Yeah.
And from there was like, I wanted to just continue filmmaking.
Yeah. And that was awesome too. I remember Dixon. Yeah, man. That was the coolest substitute teacher I ever had in life, man.
The
To still
coolest
remember
ever.
his name. Most people don't remember their own teachers' names, and this guy was a substitute, but he was definitely impactful, man, throughout all of our time in high school. So, and that's a great kind of tagline: enter a challenger, exit a champion, because that you could use that term in any form of life. You want to think about boxing, you can use it in sports terms. You can use it as coming into a job when it's you're at the start, staying at the bottom. You're at the bottom, and you work your way up to to being a manager. I mean, so that works in a lot of different areas. But I didn't know that about you either. So watching that and seeing you making that, to me, I learned more about you in that process as well, which I think is which is dope to see people that you grew up with and you see what they went through and you didn't know they were going through it at that time. So that's one thing that I commend you for, because losing a parent, especially at a young age, that's not easy to deal with, easy to handle, not easy to be able to navigate through. So I commend you on that.
Right. And also to thank you. I also want to add on to what you said. You can use it for so many different things. Like you said, boxing. I actually have it tatted on my arm, enter a challenge to exit a champion, with boxing gloves. No, although I don't step in the ring and box, the significance is every day is a fight to get to where you want to be in life.
That's real. That's real. That's real. You guys know, I think you guys know this gentleman, but Dr. Charles Cole III in the building. He said love.
Hey man, what's up with it? Oh man, Charles, what's good? Hey, Charles is doing some amazing work. I love you, brother.
Really?
Keep going. And we got to collaborate, man. We got to put some stuff together.
Yeah.
Solid dude, man.
Definitely. And a sweet jumper too, man. One of them left-handed cats. Those left-handed cats always got jumpers, man.
Straight up.
Yeah, he also said tell Noob and T to turn their phones on the side, landscape view. Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
All right, there we go.
But yeah, Tyler, I'm gonna go to you. When did you know?
Repeat the question for me one more time.
So when did you know you wanted to get into filmmaking, or when you wanted to make that a thing?
Man, I would say fall of 2019. When I finished More Than the Cut. So More Than the Cut was like the second film I ever actually put together from concept all the way to completion. And just after filming it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is what I really want to do. This is where I feel happy at. This is something that comes easy. And I'm like, man, if I can get my thoughts and ideas all the way onto the big screen in front of me, I was like, I need to keep doing this. So from More Than the Cut came all the other films that I've done thus far, and all the films that I will do in the future. So yeah, I would say fall of 2019. I came into my film program not knowing nothing outside of what maybe HD and SD was. I knew a little bit about SD cards, but as far as fully putting a film together from thought to script to treatment and edits and all that, and understand how music and all that stuff works, I learned all that within the first 4 or 5 months in the program, and then it just picked up from there.
Yeah. And wow, that was your second ever.
Yeah, I ain't gonna talk about the first one because the first one was real tragic. It came out real terrible. But,
trial and error, man.
Yeah, no, for real. That second one, it brought it all together. It for sure brought it all together. Even with the first one, I noticed it was a few shots where I was like, ooh, all right, I like that shot. I might not like the film overall, but I'm like, that one shot let me know all right, I'm on the right track. And then seeing More Than the Cut come to life, and then just seeing the response from it, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. I found what I'm good at.
Yeah, and I'll say More Than a Cut is the most watched so far on the channel. So people are enjoying that one, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. I think from other cultures is that when you go to the barbershop, it's exactly what the name of the film is. It's more than a cut. You going in there, you getting advice. You may be getting, if you a kid, you may be getting some lessons, or you may be getting some, hey, this is what you did, young man, this is what you can do better next time, giving you some game. I mean, the barbershop was really the spot to be, and you got so much from that experience. It wasn't just the cut, was really just the part to get you in the door, but the other stuff you got, was big time.
Yeah.
Facts. And I want to also comment on Tyler too. When you were saying your first one was a tragedy, I just want to say I want to name that you're courageous. I mean, because for anybody to put themselves out there on screen, do something behind the scenes, what you're doing, Ben, you got to have a lot of courage because you know you know how cruel this world can be and what people say, and you could live on the internet forever. So there's so many people who don't follow their dreams, and because they're afraid of being ridiculed. And so anything that you do, man, it may not be to your liking, but at the same time, you courageous enough to put yourself out there. And that's huge.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's what I share to a lot of podcasters, or people that want to get into it. I mean, all you really got to do is press record and start. Now that's the starting point. That's the starting point. Now you can get so deep into it, you can upgrade equipment, you can do all that stuff later. I think the biggest part is just starting, because that's the beginning of the journey. Because again, it's a journey for all of us. Everything that we're experiencing. I didn't start off here. I didn't start off I didn't want to do video for so long because I was like, I don't know what people are gonna think. What if I didn't shave that day? What if it's this, that, whatever? And then I just did it. And from there on, it's, you get hooked. I think whatever it is that you have a passion for, when you do it that one time, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna do this for real. Then I think that's that thing that you need to do.
Hey man, it blows my mind how many people don't start. It really does. I'm like, that's like the easiest part of like everything is just starting. Like once you start, everything else is like going to eventually line up. But like if you don't start, like you'll never know like what could have happened or what will happen.
Right. And I tell people all the time, like, you don't want to, God willing, you get to 70 years old or 80, you don't want to be like, man, I didn't do that when I should have did it, and then your body not going to be the same no more. And you don't want to have regrets as you get older. You want to be able to look at pictures and posters, like the poster I got behind me from my behind the scenes show. That's something that, God willing, I make it to 80 years old. I want to be able to look back and be like, damn, I did that. It's directed and produced and written by me, and I got a chance to collaborate with some amazing people. So, I tell people all the time, like, start it, make the mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, but put yourself out there and make it happen.
Yeah. And now I can look back to when I first started podcasting, which most of those episodes are from 2016, but I can look back and listen to those now and be like, wow, like what it sounded like, which was probably trash, what it looked like, which was probably trash, but that's the journey. That's the journey part. You can go back. And now I have a daughter. She's 10 years old. She does a podcast with me about kind of reviewing kids' movies. So now it's like that passion that I have is now sprinkling over into her. And then that's the legacy part. We talk about legacy, but that is the legacy part of being able to impact your kids, and however how they want to do it, you help them and you groom them into being great.
That's what's up, Ben. I seen one of your reviews you did with your daughter, man. That was dope, man. Just to be able to do that with her and show her the ropes, and she's comfortable, and she see you and you're the example. And so, I could tell she's a daddy's girl, and she's also learning from you. So the BS3 network is going to flourish, man, and it's going to be generational. That's what I see.
Yeah, definitely. Charles says it takes a bunch of failures to get to true greatness. I fail at something every day. Man, it's how you learn.
Oh man, we got to do another episode and get Charles on here, man. Like we got to do a part 2.
Yeah, he wants to come on. I'm gonna send him the link. Because he said he might be free to jump on, so I'll send him the link here in a second. Now let's talk about the creative process. This is what I love to hear from artists, from filmmakers, from producers. Talk about that creative process, and Tyler, I go to you first. Just in making a film, making a documentary, and what you go through and experience.
Man, I always start off with the idea first. So like one film that I'm planning to do is a film that touches on Black men being victims of like domestic abuse and intimate partner relationships. And I've been wanting to do this one since I got my degree from Chapman. I wanted to do it even prior to starting Chapman. But yeah, I guess part of my creative process is just really starting with the idea and the concept, and just figuring out like what I want the audience to take away from it. And so a lot of the work that I plan to do and that I'm currently in the process of doing, it all starts from like a social, I guess a social impact or social issue standpoint. So I'm always just like in the mode of like trying to push people to think deeply about things that they may not normally think about on a daily basis. And then once I get the thought and idea down, I try my best to find people that want to be a part of it, and then I just start shooting, and I leave everything up to like the editing room. I do treatments here and there, but I notice I work better like just going from thought and idea and just filming the content and getting all that done, and then leaving everything else up to like the editing room and then just figuring it out from there.
Yeah.
So I'll do a treatment to kind of get my idea fleshed out as much as I can. But if I notice that the filming is going different than what I put in my treatment, then I let everything be where it is and how it's gonna come out, and then I just try my best to get the point across in the editing, and just mainly just doing like a lot of re-edits. So just like if I notice that the story isn't come out the way I want to, go back in and edit it. Or if I notice that the story I originally thought I was going to put out is now becoming something different, then just flowing with that.
Yeah, and that's another nugget, man. It all starts with the idea first. Like that's the ground floor right there is that idea, and then from there you build from it. Kind of a follow-up question: how long does it normally take, or I guess on average, how long does it normally take for the whole process?
Um, it really just depends on like how eager I am about the project, or how in depth I want to go about the project. So it could take anywhere from I've gotten films done in like 2 or 3 days, like shot, edited, and like fully completed in like 2 or 3 days. I know my most recent film, A Lock and a Twist, took me from what August, at least maybe like 6 or 7 months to complete. Just as far as like writing the treatment out, producing it, getting everybody involved, filming it, and then just editing, and then like officially putting it out about like 6 or 7 months. So yeah, I don't know. It really varies from project to project, and just depending on like what I want to do and what role I'm playing in that project, whether I'm producing it and shooting it, or just editing, or doing everything else. So it could take 2 or 3 days, couple weeks, couple months. It really just depends on the length of the project.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Zimbabwe, I'll go to you on that one.
Yeah, that's sort of the same thing, like coming up with the idea and the concept. One of the things I'm big on is the title. Like the title, I have to think of a great title. And once I get that title in my head, I'm writing it down on every page. So like was I'm writing the treatment and the people that I have an idea of getting involved, I'll write them in there. And then one of the parts of my creative processes is R&B music or jazz. Like I'll listen to Dizzy Gillespie. Like sometimes I go back to those places. So like I'll listen to Dizzy Gillespie, from 1960s, and it'll take me to a different place, and I'll have some candles lit. Or I'll listen to Sade, or Anita Baker. And like Anita Baker take me back to when I was a child. And so that ignites my spirit to come up with more ideas and be more creative. And then once I get everybody a part of the process, we film it. And then 40 Files Crack the Code is the first project I've actually edited by myself. And so I'm pretty proud of that's on your network, Ben. And so just continuing to write, adding stuff, taking away stuff. Some stuff is freestyle. Sometimes I think of ideas in the middle of the night, like during my sleep, get up and write it like, but it's a trip because, art is life. And I mean that in a sense of like, you go outside, you hear birds, right? You hear cars, you may hear the horn of a car. You may hear a train. You look at the sky, you see like the things that sometimes we take for granted. is art. You know what I'm saying? The sun, you know, animals. And so like I'm always creating from that space. And then I always create from a space of nostalgic. Like I want my projects to be nostalgic, sort of like, for example, Family Matters, right? You know, if you watch Family Matters, you get a certain feeling in your spirit. Or you watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin, it takes you back to a certain place where you can remember what you were eating, who you were hanging around, what person you was with, what the smell was like. And so I'm big on the essence of my work being like nostalgic for later on, so people can be like, dang, when this came out, I know exactly what I was doing. I knew what music I was listening to. I knew who I was around and what life was like during that time.
Yeah, that's dope. That's so true, and I'm like that too. Things come to mind when you're doing anything, when you're driving, when you sleep or whatever. So I always got I don't really write. I do write some stuff down, but I got my phone and always taking notes or whatever it is in my head. I'm gonna remember it until I'm gonna block out some stuff. If I don't have a pen or a pad or something, I'm gonna remember it so I can, jot it down. But yeah, that's big time what you said. Zimbabwe is just there's so many films and shows you can remember how you felt, where you were, and even those particular moments. Because kind of going back to Emory when the whole OJ case, they rolled the TV, which our teacher, which I think was Mrs. Smith at that time, she rolled the TV into the classroom. It was like, we go watch this. It was like, oh, I guess whatever we was doing wasn't important. It was like, we go watch this verdict. And we literally watched the verdict in our classroom. I'll never forget that. That's one of those moments. And that's the same thing in films and documentaries as well, that you remember the senses around you when you had that or when you watched it. So yeah,
that's a trip you say that because I was actually.
My fault. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's a trip you say that because I knew exactly where I was. I was actually going to school in Sparks, Nevada, near Reno, and I remember the verdict and just how it was so many people upset and it was so many Black people excited. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
exactly. And to be honest with you, I think they didn't give a damn if he did it or not. They were just happy that he was exonerated. You know what I mean? And so, like you said, you can remember that time. You can remember what it was like. Like you remember the teacher's name. And that's a trip, man. That's real talk.
Yeah. Lugu Sam says my teacher did that too. Yeah, man, that was big because it didn't matter what side you was on, you wanted to know what that verdict was. No matter who you was, you wanted to know. But go ahead, TJ, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, just getting back on the topic of like just the creative process. I would say another piece of my creative process is like looking at other people's work. So like whether it be like documentary films, like animation, or just like other scripted films and narrative films, just figuring out like what pieces of their film that I like that I may want to add to a documentary or a piece of content that I'm doing in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to creative and being creative. That's why I call this talking to creatives, because both of you guys are extremely creative. But in that creative process, things come to you in different forms, and especially if you're a podcaster and you watch somebody else's podcast, you're like, wow, that's dope. How can I incorporate that? Or you watch you guys being filmmakers, how do I watch this and how do I incorporate this? And then that sparks you learning and figuring out, how do I do this? What does it require? How much is it? And then and I could be on that. That could be a rabbit hole too, because then you're like, sometimes I ain't gonna lie, I'll be at work and I'm like, I'm more focused on what I'm doing, or focused on BS3 than I am work. But that's just that creative process. Once you get into it, for me, it's hard to kind of turn left and not focus on it. I don't know if you guys had that same feeling when you're working on a project or something.
Yeah, man, it's like once I'm immersed in a project, it's I think we were talking about this earlier where you was like BS3 is my baby, right? And so I don't have kids, but every project is my child, right?
Yeah.
And so I handle them with care. But it's like each project is special, and I can't. It's hard for me to turn away or get unfocused. And I always make sure I'm working on doing something every single day, whether it's sending out an email or I have to write this note, and doing things in the moment. I think that's another piece that's important, is tied and associated with consistency, is doing something every single day, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes or hour, but just making sure you're adding the pieces to your project you know, so you have the best quality project. And, you know, you may catch things later on. If you have like a certain deadline, you can work on the lot of the smaller things that you may have not paid attention to make it sharper, to make that project that much sharper.
Right, right. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. So let's talk about some influences. I know you, TG, you mentioned Spike Lee, Zimbabwe. I know you mentioned Singleton, but has there been any other influences in filmmakers, or just people that have influenced you or inspired you? Zimbabwe, I'll go to you first.
Ryan Coogler for sure. Fruitville Station. When I remember going to the movie theaters, I was going to Dublin Pleasanton, and I just remember that's one of those movies where, okay, you from Oakland, and you knew exactly what happened. We seen the footage, but when you see it on screen, it's not like you're like, oh, I already seen this part before. Like, you feel it to the bottom of your soul when Oscar Grant gets killed on that platform. And I just remember when the credits rolled and everybody got up and walked out, it was somber. You know, you can hear people sniffling. It was just somber. And I just remember thinking to myself, I want to make people feel some type of emotion from creating a film, because that's powerful. When you can bring emotions out of people and put something on screen, that's powerful. And so that really inspired me. And to be honest with you, that's one of the people that's on my list to work with is Ryan Coogler.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, man, 100%. Because that's one of those situations where, you know, whenever I watch a film or it's a documentary, you know the ending. You watch a Malcolm X documentary, you know what happened to Malcolm X. So it's not like I didn't know that. But I think it's the process throughout it. What happened on this day? And Fruitvale Station was exactly that. What happened on that day? What happened and was going on in his life? And yeah, that's the movie you can't just get up and say, "Oh, that was great. I'm gonna get up and walk out." Now you almost need a minute to sit down and process that, get yourself together, because again, you know the ending, but to be able to see the process throughout how it got to that, I think is the biggest part.
Facts.
Yeah. TG.
Question was inspirations, right?
Yeah. Influences or inspiration that you've had for people.
Man, I really don't think I have any, to be honest. Like, outside of my real, not to sound messed up, but I don't know. I would say myself. For real, like just seeing
That's
like
your
how,
truth.
yeah.
Because sometimes it's got to
I
be
mean,
you.
just
Sometimes it's got to be
I
you
mean,
to
because it's
inspire
like
yourself.
I watch a variety of films, so I don't really have like one set person where I'm like, oh, I want to do what they're doing or I want to be like them. But it's more so like, oh, I like that piece that they added in this particular work. How can I incorporate that here? But I don't know. I would say my biggest inspiration really is myself. Like, just noticing that I'm able to create work that speaks to the audience, that people are like actually watching it, and it's really hitting them in the with the way that I wanted it to hit them, with the goals that I had set out prior to creating the film. It's just letting me like, okay, cool. I'm good where I'm at. I just got to keep getting better and keep creating more content that just keeps pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Like, well, with a lock and a twist, my goal was to like just increase more conversation about like African American people just having experiences where they had to cut off their hair in order to get certain opportunities, and then showing the film to white people, and then having them be like, oh, like, damn, like I didn't know it was that deep. I thought it was just hair. So just having those interactions and just those reactions from people watching it, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm doing what I set out to do with this film, and I'll be able to do that with the other films that I'm making.
Yeah, that's facts, man. Because when it comes to the locks, which my wife has locks, she had them for one period of time, and she ended up cutting it, and then she got them again. And when you look into it and how powerful like the locks are and what they mean and what it symbolizes, like that's and I can't wait to watch that as well, because I think it's one of those films where I agree everybody needs to watch it. This isn't just a Black film. And I'll say one documentary I watched, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Exterminate All the Brutes. It's by a guy named Raoul Peck. It's on HBO. Highly suggest you watch it. It's like a 4-part series. But when it goes into everything that happened throughout history, and when it's talking about the brutes, it's talking about white people, basically. And how it breaks it down into when they came to the Americas and they seen people there, the people didn't speak their language. So it just goes so in depth, but it's also it's a documentary and a film kind of in one, because it has actors in one part. He's telling you the history basically of America and how they got what they got, which was stealing it and pillaging and being savages and stuff like that. But that's one of those where after I was done watching it, I was like, everybody needs to watch this. This isn't a film just for certain people. And I think those are impactful films when it's not just one person that needs to watch it. It's everybody can learn something from it. Every race, every different people.
That's what's up. I was gonna add too, when I first seen that the film with Tyler with the dreads, that's what really made me want to work with Tyler, because I'm like, this guy is brilliant. And then at the time he had dreads, and it was just like, I know that was a deep connection for him, still a deep connection for him. And just how prevalent it is now with the, what is it called, the hair, the crown act.
The Crown Act. Yeah, it's a trip. Like, since my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but since I completed the film, I've been seeing like more instances where people have had to cut their hair off. And I was seeing it prior to making the film and while making the film, but it was almost like once I completed it, I started seeing it like double time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's sick, man. And
schools,
it's only passed in like 7 states. So there's still like 43 other states where you could still like lose opportunity based on your hair. I'm gonna send it to you so you can put it on the network.
The fact that it has to get passed, that's very demoralizing to people who have dreadlocks. You understand what I'm saying? Like that breaks children's spirit, that breaks people's spirit, because they feel like they're not wanted, of course. Or you have to get your dreads cut off in the middle of a basketball game or a wrestling match. Like that's insane. And so I'm that when I seen that film by Tyler, I was elated just to see that he shed a lot of light to that. He's continuing to push that film.
Yeah, because that's, again, that goes back to telling you that the time that we're in right now, there is no respect for people, period. There's zero respect. Like we talked about the school shooting here in Texas. Like there's no respect for human beings at all. And to have your locks cut in the middle of something, in a tournament, at work, at a graduation, or whatever it may be, just because people are uncomfortable with it. It has no negative connotation tied to it, but people feel threatened by things that they don't understand. I mean, I'm sure we've heard that saying so many different times, and I think that's what that goes back to.
Man, sickening. I also wanted to add just around influences and inspirations too, being Quincy Jones is a huge influence. And I want to point out the particular scene from The Wiz, when they go to Emerald City and they go through the colors, they do the song gold, it's got to be gold, green, red. Like when you a kid, like when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, those are just colors. But as I got older, I'm like, that's the African colors. And then also, if you pay attention in that scene, it's showing the lights, the street lights, green, yellow, and red. And I'm like, just to be that ahead of time and to incorporate our people in that scene, and for it to be that powerful, that still speaks to my soul. Quincy Jones has always been like that. So he's a big, influence for me. Back on the block, working with Michael Jackson, and Martin Scorsese on Thriller and Bad, the video Bad. Michael Jackson, he created films within his music videos, and they were like lengthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Bad was like, if you look at Bad was like almost 30 minutes and some change. It could be short, it could be longer. And Wesley Snipes played in that. That was like Wesley Snipes' debut, playing in the video Bad with Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? And Martin Scorsese directed that. So like, the range that Quincy Jones has, is just amazing.
Yeah. Quincy Jones is a legend, man. To impact film, music, art, period. And then his kids that are involved in it as well. Rashida Jones, who's a well-known actor, been in a variety of different things. And Quincy Jones has a documentary. I think it's still on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. But I learned so much in that. Yeah, the people that he's worked with, that you're like, wow, you work with this person? wow, he impacted this person. And what he did with Michael Jackson is timeless. If they wouldn't have met, who knows how Michael Jackson's career would have gone. So yeah.
Right. And he got his first Grammy, I believe, with Thriller. And like you said, the lineage of his career, like he's worked with everybody from Duke Ellington all the way up into John Legend. You know, I can't think of another artist who's worked with people from back in the day that far back up until now. And so that's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. We got Zimbabwe, Davies, and TG of TG Films on the show, talking to creatives part 3. Great to have you guys on. Let's talk about some favorite films. I know we kind of touched on a couple, but TG, you have any other favorite films that you can remember?
Mo Better Blues, Good Will Hunting, man, probably Rounders. I think that's all I could think of right now.
Okay, those are good. Those are good, right?
That was a good list. Mo Better Blues for sure. I love that movie.
Yeah. Go ahead now, Zimbabwe.
I'm gonna go with JoJo Dancer by Richard Pryor, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, House Party, of course,
classic.
Friday. What else? Under the Cherry Moon by Prince. That movie's done in black and white, directed. That was his, Purple Rain was his first movie. Purple Rain is one of my favorites as well. But Under the Cherry Moon, that was a follow-up. But I think that was his first director debut. The Five Heartbeats. Like that's a good one. Classic. And then Robert Townsend. I want to mention Robert Townsend, Meteor Man. Robert Townsend is so slept on. You know what I'm saying? Like I get so upset that he's not on the top of that list. Like everybody know he dope. Like Five Heartbeats, undeniable. And then when you look at Meteor Man, he had everybody in that movie. You know what I'm saying? He had Bill Cosby in that movie. James Earl Jones in that movie. You know, I'm Debo in that movie. You know, Don Cheadle in that movie. Like he had a range of so many different actors in that movie. So those are just a few.
I agree with you on all of those. House Party to this day, if that's on, me and my wife probably gonna watch it. Like I don't care what we doing, we probably go watch that House Party when that's on, because also the one-liners that people I still remember. Fix some of that Dick Gregory. Like I didn't even that's a classic line. That's a
straight
classic
up
line. The dance moves. Friday is another one of those. Coming to America is one of my all-time favorites, man. I can watch that and Trading Places. But Coming to America, man, it's when you think about it, it's black excellence. When you watch it now, when I watch it, that's what I think about. Before I thought it was funny, which it is, but also it showed a different view of black people that probably wasn't even shown in that time in that form of what Eddie did. But
right.
So fact,
definitely Coming to America. And then I love that he brought everybody, or almost everybody, back in part 2. You know, I think the lady who played his mother, she passed away, but everybody pretty much got their job except for the Soul Glow dude. I was looking at an interview and they were saying they didn't see where his role can fit within that movie, because the Jerry curl was popping back then, but it's like so much time went by, like, what you rocking now, and so anyways, but Eddie Murphy in general, I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan. 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places, Vampire in Brooklyn. And Eddie Murphy is just nothing less than stellar. I mean, SNL was where he got his start. You know how difficult, how dope you got to be to be on SNL. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm talking about hits after hits, and some people didn't scrutinize him for other films he didn't make, but it's like, let's look at the hits. Dreamgirls. When he played in was it Dreamgirls or what movie? Yeah, he played in Dreamgirls. Like incredible role. Mr. Church, where he wasn't even funny in that movie. It was just a drama movie. You know, you got to see Eddie Murphy in a different light. You know, and just incredible, man. I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan.
Yeah, me too. And Daddy Daycare. I mean, that wasn't. People might say that wasn't one of his best, but it was that was a variety. That showed his variety and just the different types of comedy that he could do. Because Eddie was a well known name everywhere, in every community, every spot. I agree with you,
Facts.
Eddie. My favorite creator of all time. Yeah, man. The levels of his creativity is wild, and now he's getting back into it. And you see him doing. He did Dolomite. He did Coming to America 2. And I think he's working on some future films as well. Let's see this comment. True story. SNL won't even hire someone as dynamic as Eddie anymore because he was only star to be bigger than SNL. Bro hosted the show while being a cast member.
Facts. See, that's what I'm saying. Like another level, like Eddie Murphy on another. And I'm talking about he was back to back with it. Like he'll do Beverly Hills Cop, and then, no, he did 48 Hours first. Then he did Beverly Hills Cop, and then he did another 48 Hours, and then he did Beverly Hills Cop 2, and then Harlem Night too. Let's not mention that in you know his resume as well. You got Richard Pryor, you got Red Fox, you got Della Reese. You know what I'm saying? You got Charlie Murphy, like Jasmine Guy. Like I'm talking about everybody in that movie was a heavy hitter.
Yeah, facts. And he had that ability to bring people together. And I think that's the greatness. That's that legacy part that we talk about, because we're still talking about Coming to America, which was 83 or 85. And I was 3 at that time. So there's no way I seen it at 3. But now I'm still talking about it today, and we're so many years later. So impactful. Doesn't even, it's not even half of it. All right, let's get to what's some future projects you guys are working on. And TG, I'll go to you first.
Future project. A documentary on African American men being victims of domestic violence or domestic abuse in intimate partner relationships.
That's a great topic, because that is not talked about enough.
Oh no, it's for sure not talked about enough. I actually wrote about creating the film to get into my program, and I was hoping that would be the film that I would like leave having made, but things didn't work out that way. So my goal is to do it now that I was able to see like different films while I was in school. I found a new way to get the film done, and there's some elements of like acting and like animation and a variety of other things that I want to include in it. So just keep my fingers crossed that everything goes well as far as like the production and everything for it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Zimbabwe.
40 Files Crack the Code Part 2. I'm not sure if I'm gonna name it the Bay Area or West Coast edition or another edition. That's the behind the scenes that's coming soon. And then also the Black Project. We're in the post-production phases. And that movie's about Black students matriculating, going into the medical field. It's just important for more of us to be in the medical field, people that look like us, you know, and they can treat us and take care of us. And we need more Black people in medicine. And so working on that project, shout outs to Donovan, Darrell, Valerie, Sonia, that's the team that I work with, the production team out in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Detroit now. Incredible project. This is going to be on a national level. I'm excited about being a producer and writer for this project. And then also a project that me and Tyler are working on together. I'm signing him on is The Courageous Oaklanders. And it's the premise of the documentary. It's going to be a docu-series. It's about just the world of philanthropy and community organizing, and creating, like, I want the audience to see there's a blueprint to giving back to your community in any capacity. Because I think a lot of the times when people see people do philanthropy work, they're like, oh my God, I need millions of dollars to accomplish this goal. And it's like, no, like, tap into your resources, tap into people that you know, start small, take bite-sized pieces and build yourself up and give back to your community. or this dear to you, or whatever type of philanthropy you want to do, because the world, we talked about the shooting earlier. There's so much going on in the world, and it has to get combated with philanthropy and community organizing and uplifting our communities, us doing the work. And so, like, I want to show people the power comes from within, and a lot of the times we may see, like, shout outs to LeBron James for building his own school. We may see that and be like, dang, that's so far removed from what I want to do. But no, you can start with the little bit that you have, and you can connect with people who are interested in the same thing and have the same passion. And so that's the documentary that me and Tyler are going to be working on together.
Yeah, and that's impactful, because again, like we've just been saying, you got to start. You got to start somewhere and small, and start around the people that you know, because that's where everything starts, around your group of influence, or the people or your family. That's the beginning point. But I wanted to bring on Dr. Charles Cole. He asked to come on, so let's bring him on the screen.
Let's go.
My man, is that the Emory hoodie on?
Brother, come on now, B. That's just I'm a Spartan forever. And the
brother
thing is, I had that on before I even knew I was going. I just was doing some other work. I was building for some shows tomorrow, and I was going. I saw y'all on. I was like, oh, let me show some love, man. And then Tyler, me and him have a different connection. I didn't even. It's funny how people get connected. I know Tyler from a shorty, so that's what's up, man.
Man, dope. Yeah. So we just and go ahead and talk about yourself. I know you got so many different things going on, podcasting and everything wise. But first off, what's the images behind you? Let's talk
brother, you got you come on, you got the hip hop thing, man. You gotta be able to make those out, bro. I know I got the Boca on. I got the Boca on, so y'all here. I'll make it bigger. There you go. Come on, man. You should be able to tell these silhouettes, brother. That's Biggie, Pac, Nipsey, Cole, Kanye, and Kenny.
Yeah.
But they didn't have Hove and Nas at the thing. And I'm waiting for them to fix that era, and then I will swap out some people. And I need Marshall in there too. I know people like to hate on the white boy these days, but I need Marshall up there too, and Lauryn Hill, and I'm good. But nah, man, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of y'all, and I just was enjoying the conversation, man. I didn't want to get in the way. I just wanted to show some love. I see you grinding. I've seen you build this out from day one, and I've seen Noop do his thing, and Tyler just hit the ground running. So I just wanted to show some love. That's all I had going for you, man. But I don't know what you want me to say about myself, but I wanted to give y'all flowers.
Appreciate you. Man. Appreciate you. What shows you got? What you got?
Appreciate it, good brother.
Oh yeah, man. You said what shows I got going on?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Well, Eight Black Hands is our national education show. So I'm bringing in all four of us from different places. So I'm from the Oakland. I split time between Oakland and Chicago. One of our co-hosts is from New York. The other's from Minnesota, and then one is from Philly. So we all kind of produce this show. I'm producing tomorrow, so I'm bringing on Mr. Brown, who is he's a math teacher from Oakland he's retiring after 46 years. So he was my math teacher at Westlake. And he just was one of my I didn't have a lot of teachers that I loved, but that dude was the best one, hands down. And he's at the 46 years. So we're gonna have him on tomorrow. And then there's just other stuff that I do. I'll do interviews and stuff here and there. Did a dope. I got invited to the Black Effect network with that's Charlamagne's network. Nina Turner has a show there, so I did her show and it was really dope. I just grind, bro, and then I just try to throw assists whenever I can. I just give stuff away. If you need content, you can take whatever's on my page and have it if you want it, man. I don't care. Okay. But you got to give abundantly, bro, without wanting something in return, and it'll come back to you.
True. Zimbabwe, I'm gonna kick it back over to you. The Building Bridges basketball game is coming up in August. I wanted to give you opportunity to talk about that. Where is it? What it's about, and everything.
So Building Bridges basketball is something I started in 2018. We all know the police brutality and the experiences we have as Black men and Black people with police officers. And I just remember one day just seeing a police officer and just feeling some energy, like, damn, you know, he was mugging me. And I was like, man, and I told myself, like, man, why do they hate us? And then I also told myself, like, what are you gonna do about it? So from there, I went to the Oakland Police Department in Eastmont. And I was like, man, I want to talk to an officer. And I was just thinking about doing a basketball game. Like, I'm like, man, that would be a way to bridge the gap. So I'm talking to one of the officers and I'm like, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And he's like, I'm not the guy to talk to. So in my mind, I'm like, damn, like you acting funny style or whatever. So he's like, no, let me bring out my guy. At the time, he was the deputy chief, LaRon Armstrong. He came out and we started talking. I was like, hey, man, what would you think if we did a basketball game, community versus police, to like just start breaking the ice? Because what I seen in a lot of community city hall meetings was people already had their guards up, you know, when having the conversations around bridging the gap or coming up with solutions. Like ain't nobody gonna want to talk. Like too many of us been getting knocked down. Like why are we gonna try to, you know what I'm saying, have a friendly conversation? So I said, all right, basketball is like the juice and the medicine that's gonna kick it off. And so he said, you get the venue, we could kick it off. So that's all I need to hear, right? I'm one of them type of people that once I hear that green light, like I'm going, right? I mean, I'm already self-motivated and I do stuff on my own. But once I hear like that collaboration is in place, so I hit up Soldier Town. At the time it was called Jam Town. And so I'm like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I sent the email and the lady hit me back. She's like, oh, this is an amazing idea. Whoop-de-whoop, come down. And so we solidified the date. I told he's now the Chief LaRon Armstrong of Oakland Police. I told him, and then I rallied the troops. I started calling people like, hey, you know, you wanna play this game against police? So who's gonna say no? Because everybody gonna want, you know what I'm saying, to get some payback in a friendly way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
everybody
you know,
let's
do
the
the
police,
game. Everybody want to drop 30 on the police. You want to dunk on the police, whatever, right? And so, you know, so I'm calling Fab. I'm like, you know, Mr. Fab. I'm like, man, come out, man. He's like, man, let's do it. And so, like, one of the things that I'm big on is the power of collaboration and getting everybody involved. And you know, a lot of the times it's my vision, but it doesn't happen unless everybody's involved. And so once we got everybody on board, the first year we had one game, we lost by like 2 points. Mondo Cole played in the game. You know, we was putting up buckets and stuff, but they had OPD got squad. I'm not gonna hold you, but anyways, this year we're bringing it back after a 2-year hiatus from COVID. So we're gonna do it August 28th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Soldier Town in Oakland, California, and we're gonna have some fun with it. We're gonna have 2 games. So we have Team Town Business. That's my team. We're gonna play against Alameda County Probation, and then the second game is going to be Team Town Business versus OPD. We're going to have a backpack giveaway. We're going to have a juice bar, and we just going to have fun. And this is to also open up the conversations. I plan on doing community town hall meetings and bringing, you know, different people on board. Like I said earlier, the basketball game is like the juice and the medicine, and so the basketball game is really an icebreaker to get people's guards down, to really have a conversation so we could work towards the change and discuss public safety so we can implement that within our communities.
Yeah, definitely. That's the opportunity to get people together. And then the conversations are gonna happen. Probably while they playing, the trash talk gonna happen. And then afterwards, when you dapping it up when the game's over with, you know, I think that's a great opportunity. And we need more of that too.
We definitely do, man. And the fact that, you know, the police are open to participate in the community already on board. Like I said, I already got, you know, an army to come out every year. Shout outs to my sister, Yanine Jackson. She's my partner in crime who helps me put the roster together and other aspects of the event. Shout outs to Sam Moses at Soldier Town. And everybody who's a part of it. Like I said, I'm the vision, and my goal is like, it's at this point it's bigger than me, you know, and I want it to continue to live on even after I'm gone, you know, long. That's the goal. You know, it's not for likes or showmanship to say, hey, this is what I'm doing for the community. It's initially to get people involved and to say, hey, we can all look out for our community together. Like there's no big me, little you, I'm in charge, and you're, there's us, and we have to do this for the children. We have to do this for the youth. We have to do this for everybody who count on us. And for me, it's like I want to be able to take advantage of my brilliance, intelligence, my sight. I want to be able to take advantage of all that and put it into work that's impactful. Like I was mentioning earlier, like I don't want to turn 70 years old and be like, damn, I could have did something for the community. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and like do it now while everything works and while you're healthy, and do it with people who are, just as passionate as you are.
Right. It's no time better than the present, because things are still happening every day. So the time that we're not doing it is where time is passing. And I think that's a great thing that you're doing. And let me bring that flyer back up so you guys can see it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful event, man. I went to it. It's a beautiful event. I didn't get asked to play, but I went. It was great. It was nice. Like, Noop, I used to put up buckets back before, brother. But but nah, it was dope, man. Anyway, you can be supportive, let me know.
Hey man, if you want to, I got a slot for one more person on the roster. You want to come out and play, man? Let me know. I haven't put in the order for the uniforms yet, but there's a C code, you know what I'm saying, on the back of a jersey.
Well,
ready.
Let me know the date, man.
You feel me?
I don't know if I'm down, man, but I definitely, that was 20 pounds ago, brother. I'm working on it to get back where I need to. Tyler hoop too. I took Tyler to go ball before. I took Tyler. He thought it was a game, and then somebody was the dude he was playing against tried to muscle him a little bit. I was all right, don't calm down. I proceeded to drag.
Tyler, you got on this line?
Oh, I
Tyler, you got him?
He was there. Tyler thought it was a game.
Charles Coop.
He thought it was a game. He was like, "Oh, you old, you." All right, let's go.
I didn't think he could hoop at first. Then we played a few games. I was like, "Oh, bro, really be hooping."
He go.
But trying to get back. I ain't what I used to be though, man. But nah, anyway, I can be supportive, man. Seriously, it was a beautiful event. The last time I went, I think the last year before COVID, and it was lively. It was a lot of people there. The game was good. Like you said, them boys could play. Them cops wasn't no pushovers. I thought people thought that they was gonna be, but you just doing some great stuff, Noop, and I'm proud of you, man. Do people call you Noop still? I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Come on, hey. They do, man. But if nobody don't, man, you call me that, man. And if you call me Noop, you really know me. You feel me?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, man. That's a good dude, man. Anyway, I ain't mean to jump in, Ben. I just wanted to.
Good.
It's a really awesome event.
But Charles, we still got to collaborate too. I want you in my documentary that me and Tyler working on together called The Courageous Oaklanders. So you got to be featured in that. You have posted something on Instagram, so I'm like, this is a perfect time. So let's work on that, man. And I'm gonna be sliding to the Midwest, so we're gonna have to put something together out there as well.
You can. This is my studio, be in my house, and downstairs I got a full studio. So yeah, bro, come on through. I got you. I'm right in the south suburbs of Chicago, man, and I'll put you, whatever you need, bro. I'll put you up, and we could work, man. So I'm super proud of you, man. And like I said, and being just for you to take this vision and to build it out and take your podcast and turn that into a network and then get your Roku deal and still kind of, coming back in and just into the fold, man. Like, a lot of people just not doing it, man. And I would hope to see all of Emory in all the streams when, when you're doing something, man, just showing that love. I shared it on my page, and I'm gonna always be a supporter, man. And like I said, I try to stay out the way, but like I said, any way I could be helpful, you let me know.
Yeah. And I'll say this, man, people watching, support is free. A share is free. Ooh. There's no money included in that. A like is free, because the moment you share that, somebody else is going to see it and it'll be like, oh, that looks interesting. Somebody else is going to look at it. Maybe they share it. And that's how people go viral. That's how it happens. Mm-hmm. And it's the algorithm of social media. We know it exists. And the minute that you get in that algorithm from there, it continues to go in front of other people.
Well, like I said, Ben, any video you like that I've done, you're talking about creatives and how to get started. I know I've done a bunch of videos from that. Go through the YouTube, whatever you want, you can have. I don't want nothing for it. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. Like anything that's helpful, because I think y'all were giving out some real game. And I think that sometimes when we talk about this, we still talk about it with kid gloves. And the truth is, I come from a place, if you don't work, you don't eat. Like, it's a lot of people that feel sorry for themselves. You got to start creating. Like, you got to start. Like, nobody can start for you. And people can give you all the game in the world, but if you keep saying, well, I ain't got the right camera, I ain't got this, it's always going to be an excuse to not do something. It's always somebody else's fault for you not being successful. Then you don't have the right spirit for that success. You're not going to be able to even handle it when something does pop off. You have to fail a bunch. You got to go through that humbling process, that learning process. And if you don't, you know what I'm saying? Look at the people that just get success right out the gate. It will eat you alive. Like, you have to have moments when you remember where you come from. I grew up homeless. I lived in 4 shelters. I went to 11 elementary schools between Chicago, Kentucky, and then finally Oakland. Like, Tyler has heard this a lot from being in my program. Like, though people they're like, man, you've been through so much. I feel bad for him. Like, man, that's the biggest blessing of my life. Like, I know how rocky the world can get. I know that people at the end of the day don't care about you. And guess what? It's not their job to. Don't nobody owe you shit. Don't nobody owe you nothing. So, you know, you got to go out there and get it, and you got to be okay when you fail. You can't have that brittle spirit, man. So, you know, I think that y'all were giving some real game earlier, but I still, even if there's somebody watching this that I got this whole video called Finna Friends, man, and you should look at that one. And the Finna Friends, every time you see him, every time you see him, they finna do something.
I'm finna do this, yeah.
They finna do something. They finna do this, they finna do that, and you catch up on them, and then you be like, what happened with such and such? Oh, blood, something with Granny was tripping, or Pops didn't give me the bread. It's like, are you serious? And then you take that concept, and I used to say this with Tyler and them, like, now, how many times you been a finna friend to yourself? How many times you promised yourself you was gonna do something and you didn't do it? Hey, I'm gonna lose this weight. I'm gonna write that script. I don't know how to write scripts. If you don't get your ass on YouTube, if you don't just start writing, like, that's how you start. Like, I ain't know nothing about camera. Look at my studio, right? I ain't know nothing about it, but you build up to it and then you learn along the way. So don't nobody owe you nothing. I can't work with a you owe me ass person. Right. I can't do it, man. Because they don't know what it means to be hungry. You need that hunger. You know what I mean? So I see 3 hungry ass people, and they're gonna do whatever they need to do to get it. I see Noop all over the country with his backpack, like getting these interviews, knocking it out, man. Tyler has been like this since he was a kid. Like, he's antsy, like he has to do something with that energy. You know what I'm saying? And Ben on the other side, I just remember Ben has always been super cool and chill, just loved his sports. And it might look like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, like he's just calm and going, but there's a lot of work. Like, Ben is like that duck, that swan you see gliding across the lake, but you don't see their feet underneath it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the stuff that's done in the background, people don't understand the groundwork. They just see you just did a podcast. Yeah, but the stuff it takes to put the graphic together, which I've gotten better at it. You know, it's easier now. But early on, it took time. It was agonizing to have to put a graphic together because I didn't know what I was doing. But you learn this stuff, and the work. I agree with what you said, Cole. Is that the work is like in the behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. But then when you get on camera and you put like with you guys, when you put the product out, that's just the end product. That's just part of it.
You know, my research is about Black boys, education, the country, all that stuff. You know, I didn't, you know, I worked hard for this doctor name, but forget that title. My job, I have to read every bit of research that comes out about us, whether I like it or not, whether I agree with it or not. Like, my job, if I'm going to be an expert in this field, is to constantly be growing. Like, so I saw y'all because I was here working and putting stuff together and studying and preparing. You know, it sounds and looks easy when you see me doing or giving my talk or seeing those videos, but there's hours and hours of writing, reflection, actually being in communities. You know, I was on 50 flights last year, man. Like, all the places. You know, I started Energy Converters in Oakland. We have one in Oakland and Stockton and Chicago and Milwaukee and Indianapolis. Like you have to build that stuff out, man. And you know, when we got to the thing, we built the People's Literacy Fund in Oakland. I don't know if I gave away $100,000 in Oakland directly to parents, community members, people like Tyler, people like Newt that said, yo, this is what we're going to do around literacy. I didn't know nobody was gonna see it or what was gonna happen with it. You know what I mean? You gotta go on faith. And then Indianapolis, hit me up like, man, that's awesome. Can you tell us more about that? Can we do that? Gave out 80 grand there, and like is trying to move this to Atlanta and DC and other places that where folks have excess, grant money or money left over, so our people can be in charge of our own literacy. Like, don't nobody owe us nothing. Yeah. And if it ain't nobody coming to save us, and if we want to make sure we got more Tylers, then we gotta like lift Tyler up. We gotta show love. We gotta support it, and we gotta put him in front of other young people so he can get so they can get motivated. Like Noop liked to make movies. You know what he did? The nigga started making movies. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
straight up.
That's true, man.
Just excuse my language. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just me, man. And I was like,
he passionate, and that's what I love about you, Cole, is that you so passionate about what you do and you live it, man. And so you don't gotta apologize, man. That's your spirit. That's who you are, man.
Yeah, and that's like with my daughter. I think with kids too, you gotta train them up that way. You can't train them up to say, "Oh, you owed this." Like Charles said, you're not owed anything. You gotta put in the work. You think this just happened yesterday? You think you just came upon this house? No, it was working to get into this house. I mean, like that needs to be instilled in people's minds from as a kid, because that instills that work ethic that you have to have.
Right. I mean, listen, man. I don't, like I said, y'all done already had such a great conversation, Ben. I don't know, if it's something specific you want me to talk about, or I can just lay back in the cut too and just keep learning and listening, man. But whatever or any of you fellas, man, I'm just proud, and I just wanted to show love, however that meant, whether that was just me watching from the sideline or joining. You need me to do anything, bro. It's nothing, and I charge a lot. I would never charge you anything. And I say that because Black people, especially Black men. Again, I want to talk to Black men. It's 4 Black men here, and somewhere along the line, there's this narrative that has started that we don't get along with our women, or we hate this, or we somehow became the problem. Man, those is all lies from the gates and the pits of hell, man. I know everybody on here loves our women, loves our community. And there's a role that we have to play in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need our strength. They need us to kind of be there. And a man goes out and works for his dinner, man. And or they grind for it, yo. So like any way I can help lift you up as just a brother, like this is how it starts, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people don't get on your bandwagon until you're already winning and you weary of them. Like, ain't nobody there in the midst when you struggling. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody laughing at you. Everybody laughing at your ideas. Everybody like, whatever, really, you're gonna do this. And then once you start winning and they see that progression, they like, oh, let me hop on this train with you. Hey, I got this idea. And you like, nah, you wasn't dribbling with me on the court.
Man, you know how long I was a nerd-ass, square-ass dude? You know how many times I was a weird nerd, square dude, and then it become Dr. Cole, or I'm featured on this thing, and then it's like, oh, I knew he was gonna make it all along. I love you.
I know.
No, you didn't. Girl, when I like you only wanted dope dealers that was 22 years old pouring up the Emerald.
Straight up. They didn't wasted their years, and now they want you. Right. They crazy.
I dropping your DMs. I always lying. They be lying. I'm sorry.
Let's not leave out how Charles Cole is tapped in with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, he's a dope dude. Gary V is super dope.
Yeah.
Tapped in, man.
The way that came along, and I can send y'all clips. The way that came along was Black Enterprise was looking at Black entrepreneurs, and I had a friend there, and I got connected, and he flew us out. We all flew out to New York, and I mean, Gary V just gave us a lot of real game. For y'all that don't know, Gary V came up with like Mark Zuckerberg and a lot of these early like social media people. He went the way of being like an advertisement man. So actually, a lot of the ads you see on TV is Gary V's ads. Like, he's actually runs a multiple $1 million organization. But he just we just hit it off, man. And I came back and did his show again, and it's just a lot of game. And his thing is, you don't expect people to be your role model. Like, don't expect people to be your mentor. There's enough content. there's enough things you can see. If you want to know what a Zimbabwe Davies does, just follow him. Just follow him and pull out nuggets, like pull out stuff from Tyler. Like, I don't, you know, when y'all was asking who the influencers, I felt the exact same way Tyler did, because I never met somebody that wanted to do all the things I did. So I would pick and choose from different things here and there, and then you would just kind of put it together. And I know I'm long-winded, but this is the best advice I ever got. It came from a coach of mine, a therapist actually. And I said, man, I was struggling. I was like, I just can't seem to get my foot in. The ground ain't solid under me. And he said, you a trailblazer. The ground, it ain't solid ground. You hacking the pathway. And the people that come after you is going to benefit from that solid ground. That's not your calling. Your calling was to build a path forward for other people. And all four of us, that is how we have to have the mentality. There's not a moment where it's like, I made it. Making it isn't a destination. It is a journey that you are always going to be on. You know what I mean? You think LeBron James feels like super level with all the stuff he's doing and being in this billionaire space that he just joined in? Like, no, people are figuring it out, and he can learn from Jordan, and he can learn from people in tech and all these people. And then Kevin Durant is looking at them. Like, it is a thing that has to keep giving and giving. It is a very symbiotic, Gremlins-esque type of evolution. Tyler, you might be too young for Gremlins, but when the Gremlins got wet, other Gremlins,
they was cold.
Yeah,
they popped smooth off.
Exactly. So there's gonna be somebody doing this because Ben exists. There's gonna be somebody doing stuff because Tyler exists. Like, bruh, it's so many people in the universe, in this country, I mean, in the world, bruh. There's only one Zimbabwe Davies, bruh. Like, everybody else is taken. You are the best Zimbabwe Davies in the galaxy,
You're the
bruh.
best.
Why not lean into that?
Straight up.
Right.
Man,
that's real talk, real spill.
Man,
I talk Tyler, if you want to I'm sorry. I'm gonna say nothing else. My bad.
You good. You good.
Nah, Charles, man, we need this, man.
This is what I love, man. I love the freestyle. Like I told them before we started, it's gonna be questions, but this is a conversation. I'm not like one of those, we can sit down, I'm gonna go over these questions and we could be done in 20 minutes. Nah, that's not how I do it. So, but Tyler, if you wanted to add anything.
I really ain't got much to add. I mean, I think we all said a good piece. I don't know. I mean, my main thing is just, if anybody's watching this and they got any aspirations to do anything, just whatever it is, start it. Like, I learned that a lot from Charles. I learned it a lot from my dad. He was really, really big on, like, just like whatever you want to do it. Like, if you want to create a film, go out there and learn how to make a film. If you want to hoop, figure out what you need to do to hoop. If you want to do whatever it is, take that first step, believe in yourself, and make it happen. I feel like a lot of people are sometimes scared to take that first step, and I think that sucks, because it's like, man, like, you never know where you could be. You never know how you can impact the world if you don't take that first step. I'm a really, really big believer in, like, just taking that first step and believing in yourself and just seeing whatever it is you're trying to do all the way through.
Yeah. Because I mean,
and I just want to add
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you the guest.
I was just gonna say, you gotta take that risk, man. Like, and this is what I tell a lot of young cats too. Well, people in my age group, I should say, they want to start something. I'm like, you went to that house party, that dangerous ass house party back in the day in East Oakland, right? Where you could have potentially lost your life, but you live to tell a story. So, like, what's the difference with starting your own business, failing, and, you know, progressing in life and working towards your dreams? You know what I mean? And so taking a risk is very important. And also understanding the power of collaboration. Like the fact that we're on this podcast and it's a collaboration, you know, where we all have similar experiences, similar perspectives, but we have different perspectives, and we all are going to collaborate together. You know what I'm saying? Charles was talking about collaborating with you, Ben. Me and Tyler are already collaborating. I was just talking to Charles about collaboration. So understanding the power in collaboration. And the last thing I'll say is leave your ego out of it. Like, you know, if you gifted and you talented, you know, it's hella people that's gifted and talented. You know what I'm saying? But don't be like, oh, I'm doper than you, so I should be doing this, or I should be in front of the camera, or I should have this credit. Like, that's how you lose opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you'll be notoriously known for being an asshole. And you don't want to rock like that.
Right.
You want to have you want to be firm, of course, with certain things, but you don't want to be you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that person like, oh, I don't want to work with him. You know what I'm saying? And that's your legacy. You know what I'm saying? Your legacy is whatever you make it out to be. You know, you can either be a champion or you could be a chump. The decision is up to you.
Right.
That's true.
Right. And I'll say this: don't be afraid to reach out to people, because I don't know how I even came in contact with Tyler's page. I think I seen the Rock and Twist.
Oh, damn. Oh, my
I think
fault.
I seen you get. I think I seen that, and I was like, hey, I want to get this. I need films on the network, because again, like I'll say this network is not just podcasts. We are trying to be a household name for people to go to BS3 TV to find whatever it is that they like. If they want MMA fights, if they want boxing, if they want art, whatever it is, that's what I'm trying to find. So when I reached out to him, and I've been doing that for forever in this podcast game. You can't be afraid to reach out to somebody to see if they want to collab. All they can say is no. That's it. That they could say no, not right now. I'm not interested. Send me some of your information. You don't know how the conversation is going to go. And for me, sometimes I talk myself down, like, okay, maybe should I reach out to this person? Should I not? And then I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And that's again, that goes back to that starting point, because you don't know what that connection could lead to. Go ahead, Tyler. You want to say something?
Yeah. You hit on something that I completely forgot to mention. Man, emailing people, bro. Emailing people is extremely, extremely important. Emailing people, following up with people, making sure that they about what they say they about is like really, really important. Cold emailing can get you so far. All the opportunities I've gotten like the last year is just purely off like my hustle, believing in my own ideas, and sending an email out. Like literally, I had a goal to host a variety of screenings for my thesis film, A Lock and a Twist. So I reached out to 14 schools. 2 of the schools reached out, and I got paid. And all that was off just literally cold emailing, like, hey, here's the film I got. Here's the press kit for it. I want to set something up with y'all school. Can we do it? Yes or no? Yes, no. And it just kept matriculating from there. Other opportunities that I got that are on my resume was literally all from just emailing people. I met a guy named Stacy through a guy that I met at my school. I was looking at Red Table Talk and noticed that he was the director of photography for the August Alsina episode. Knew a guy on my campus that said he used to be a producer for Red Table Talk. Reached out to him, was like, yo, can you connect me with old boy? Everything clicked after that. I started getting like PA positions. I got an opportunity to do some videography work. So man, just sending out emails, bro, goes a long way. A long way. I just read an article the other day or earlier today that said somebody got an opportunity with Mark Cuban just off sending a cold email. So man, you never know what can transpire through an email. Seriously, the opportunities that I'm working with, I got all through just sending out an email like, hey, here's an idea that I have. If you believe in it, like I believe in it, help me get it done. Or if you don't, I'm gonna still do it on my own. But man, you never know how many opportunities you can make happen if you sit there and email people. Oh man, yeah, emailing people is extremely important.
Yeah.
Watch. Yeah. That's it. I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Oh, that's so freaking important.
Did y'all talk about like how people get deeper into like creative process? Because like, you know, I think Tyler, you kind of went there a little bit and you talked about the press kit. Like actually there's a bunch of steps. If you were listening to Tyler, there's work that was done beforehand. Because it's the other thing I do now. I get a lot of people that want to talk and speak, and I will speak to as many people as I can. But I got businesses to run. I have my nonprofit. I got my LLC. I give talks. So, and a lot of people don't be having things in a row. Like a lot of people want you to put them on, and it's like you gotta. And I'm not trying to, you know, I ain't better than nobody, right? But you got to put yourself on. Like you have to do that work. But I think even I'm really interested in just people's creative processes and how they do it. Like I'm writing this next book. The first book is out. It did well. That was Beyond Grit and Resilience. The follow-up, which is not an academic book, is going to be popular, is Crack Baby Residue. I just have to write. Like I have to go to the shelters that I lived in San Francisco and Oakland. I had to sit out in front of those and write those chapters. I had to go back to Kentucky where I lived with my grandmother. And like I had to be in that environment and remember what it smelled like and all that. And then being back here in the Chicago area and learning where I came from and stuff like but I write every single day. Most of it won't get used. 85% of it won't get used. And that'll be other content that I'll use or develop and do something else or throw away, or maybe I'll do a reel where I'm just reading a thing and I'm throwing off. But like, you know, I think part of creating is it's a piece of you that's about to come outside of you, and people can get a chance to see. It's a very intimate process, whether you draw, write, rap, speak, write, you know what I'm saying, sing or anything. And if you have to get practice at that bearing of soul type process, and you gotta understand that once you give it to the world, it's theirs. Like they get to look at that and they get to critique that, and that could be very difficult for people. So the process that you're talking about, Tyler, you have to grow the callus of hearing no's. You got to grow the calluses of like being rejected to get to a point where that don't bother you. Like y'all talked about Spike Lee. I love Spike Lee. You know, it's a lot of people that don't like Spike Lee, right? Like, you know, it's a lot of people that start movie ideas and
straight
like,
up.
It's true.
I don't like that shit. Like, yeah, like why is the camera moving like that? What is this going on, right? Like, just because one person said no, man, I think God knows what he's doing. If I would have got success the first time out the gate, I promise you I would have squandered it. I promise you I would have messed it up. I'm just being real. Like, you know what I mean? So
and then you miss, and then on top of that, I just want to add, you miss hella steps. If you become successful hella fast, you miss hella steps that's gonna help you. And that's the thing that people don't trip off of. Like we were saying earlier, like Ben, you was talking about, they see the podcast, that's the end result. People don't like to go through the part of the process. You learn so much going through the process. You learn so much taking the small steps, making the mistakes, failing. You know what I'm saying? So if for the people who want to come out the gate and be super successful and wanting to get to the finish line, you're going to be stomped when you come up against adversity, because you didn't miss a lot of steps that you could have learned that can help you advance and get you where you need to be.
Yeah, man. So
and there was an artist that I interviewed. His name is Rougelon, and this guy is an amazing YouTuber. He's an artist as well, but he said it's not that I was just the greatest. It's just that other people fell off and I kept going.
Yes.
That hit me. Like, it's not that you got to be the greatest of all time, but people will fall off because if it's not working for them or whatever, or life happens, and as you keep moving, those opportunities are going to come. God knows when you need those opportunities, and he's only going to give you those opportunities if you're continuing to do your part. It's not just it don't fall out the sky for most people, and when it does it last? That's the other question.
Yeah, man. We all got stories of people that's super talented that's still on the couch, bro, that didn't make it because they didn't put that work in, man. 85% of my success is showing up. Like, if I write a report, it costs a lot if I write reports now. I ain't gonna hold you. If my company come in and we write a report, it's 50 at least starting out. It's 50,000 at least to start out, because I got to pay my young people. I pay the people that we interview and all that stuff. But there's hundreds of reports that I wrote for free, like to start, to get there, to get better, to become that professional. I ain't the best writer. I'm not the best speaker. I'm not the best anything. But what I am is I will show up every single day. Like, every day I'm going to show up and I'm going to be ready. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to do it. Tyler, I cut you off. You was about to say something, man. You the youth of all of us, brother. You the brightest star out of the four of us, man. So we need to let you. We got to give you that room. We got to give you that room to burn, bro. So burn up.
No, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, my main thing with the email portion was just like, man, I was just able to see like how much opportunities I got just from emailing people. And I'm like, man, I don't get why other people ain't doing this, bro. I'm like, it's so simple. But I also agree with what you just said as far as like just showing up. Like, man, like I've gotten a lot of opportunities just by being on time, being ready to go, showing up with a good attitude, and just seeing everything through, and then just following up with people, just saying like, hey, like, thank you for the opportunity. Like, man, I'm grateful I even got a chance to do this, and just being grateful for those opportunities eventually will get you more opportunities. But yeah, I mean, I agree with everything y'all pretty much said. I think it's important to stay on your grind, even when it's getting tough. I feel like it's important to email. It's important to show up, and then even just speaking to what you just said about just it's going to be a $50,000 minimum for them to get your work. Just knowing what your work is, and just standing on that 100% of the time.
Yeah, facts. And it's been a great conversation. I want to switch gears just a little bit before we get out of here. We're all Bay Area natives. The Warriors are in the finals. against the Celtics. I can't go through a podcast and not mention some type of score. So you see how game 1 went. Game 2's tomorrow. I want to get you guys' take on this NBA Finals. So I'm gonna go to you, Tyler, first.
Man, I say Warriors in 6.
6. Okay.
Yeah, Warriors in 6. I feel like this first game was low key a fluke. I feel like they're gonna win it. They're gonna win it in 6 games. I feel like that 6th game gonna come down to like a buzzer beater.
Okay. Initially, I said Warriors in 7 because the Celtics team is gritty, and that the Udoka, the coach, is a smart coach, very defensive minded. I don't know if the Warriors have played a team like this, especially in a series. So I still think Warriors going to get it, but I think in 7. But Zimbabwe, I'll go to you.
Yeah, I agree, man. 7. I feel like I'm glad that happened to the Warriors because they had to wake their game up. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you just winning, it's just like, all right, we got this in the bag, and the Celtics slapped them in the face. And so I felt like they got that grit and they ready. I think it's gonna go 7, man. But I was paying attention to Steph Curry's face at the end of that game, and he was going like this.
Okay.
And he was like, all right. That was like in Bay Area, Oakland. He'd be like, all right, blood. That's what he was saying it without saying it. And I was crying. I'm like, yeah, he finna turn up the next game.
Yeah. All right, Charles.
I mean, anytime you got, brother, I love being able to talk about sports stuff, and I'm gonna get real nerdy on it. But I was worried at halftime when Steph had that first quarter and the Celtics were still in the game. Like if they outstood one of Steph Curry's best quarters in the history of his career, and they weren't shaken by it. That Boston team is a really good team, and I've loved. These have been some of my favorite playoffs because it's been very much a coach's playoff in the sense of there was no LeBron, there was no KD in them past the first round. So like you've seen adjustments happen at every single in all of these series or whatnot. I think that listen, if Boston is going to shoot like that in the fourth quarter, like you can't beat that. So I don't think that that's going to happen again. I think that what they were doing of, hey, Tatum won't beat us, Brown won't beat us, and that's why they left Horford open. I think they're gonna make some adjustments. I don't like when the Warriors play zone. I personally just don't like it, but I get why they do it. I think from an X's and O's standpoint, you need Steph to show up, you need Klay to show up and take really good shots. But also, man, I think those X factors is gonna be Jordan Poole and it's gonna be Looney. And I think that if those people can continue to lock in, if Jordan Poole, this is one of the first times Jordan Poole has faced like some criticism, some critique, like because he's been riding real high this year, you know what I'm saying? But like now he's being tested. This is where I think he's gonna need that veteran support of Draymond and Klay and them to kind of keep his head there because you need that energy off the bench to like grow those leads. And like Boston's defense is top tier. I think the Warriors defense is top tier. Warriors gotta take care of the basketball. If they take care of the basketball and cut down some of those turnovers, I don't think that's a problem. And when you got that type of 13, 14-point lead, you got to put people away. You can't let people dance or play around in this era's basketball where everybody is 3 crazy. You gotta, that 13-point lead needs to be a 23-point lead, and you got to keep your foot on the gas. So if the Warriors can do that and bounce back, I think they have to win game 2. I think they have to. But we'll see, man. But I told you, don't ask me hoop questions, bro. I go into like
you good.
It's gonna be a whole nother pod. We're gonna be here another 2 hours.
I watch that game with a notebook, man. That's how I watch those basketball games, bro.
Hey, man, Al Horford been working.
Hey, man, that Boston team is great.
By himself on that shot, man, because he was almost like you remember that playoff run the Bucks had, and I think that was Lopez. One of the Lopez brothers was hitting wide open threes, and it was like nobody knew Lopez could even shoot. But Horford, man, was putting in that work. I'm proud of that dude, man. It's from Florida.
Yeah, he our age, shit. He should be. You say
he about 40s.
37, 30.
Yeah, he's getting there.
36, 37. But yeah.
All right, so let's get to some final thoughts. We'll go around the horn. I'll put you guys' links up on the screen as well. So Zimbabwe, we can go to you first. Final thoughts.
It's an honor to be on this show, man. BS3 creatives. just amazing, man. I just want to give a shout out to everybody. Charles, thank you for joining us. Tyler, we finna make some magic. I'm gonna put some more content on BS3 network. Let's keep it moving. That's all I got.
Definitely. All right, Charles.
Man, success is there and it's to be taken. It's not handed to you. You have to take it. Power doesn't seed itself, it's taken. And if you the only person that is in charge of your happiness and your dreams, and you got to be the driver of the car, that's your life. I can't. You have to be disgusted at the thought of somebody else driving the car of your life. If somebody else is in charge of your life and your decisions, you have lost, and you need to kick their ass out the car and get in front of the wheel, good, bad, or indifferent. So, you know, go take your success if you really want it, because ain't nobody gonna listen to your sad stories except for your loser ass friends and your mama. And that's from Gary Vee.
Message.
Straight up.
All right, Tyler.
Man, yeah, it was an honor to be a part of this episode. I would say my last piece of advice would just be the same thing I've been reiterating the whole time. Just go as hard as you can go for yourself. Like you know what you want to get done. It's only one of you, so just go as hard as you can go for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And I'll say this as we end it. Nobody's gonna support you like you. You can't expect other people to put in the work for you like you will, because it's yours. You know, so there we go. I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Thank you everybody for coming on. Thank you to all the viewers, people watching, commenting. Make sure to share as well. We'll be back again next week with another episode, Late Night with BS3. In the works, Talking to Creatives Part 4. This is Part 3, so we're definitely going to be looking to do a 4th version of this. I thought this was great, and great to have you guys on. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you guys when we see you.
Thank
you too, champ. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.